You're on, Mom.
Hello.
Test your volume.
Yes. How's my volume?
How is her volume, boys?
Yeah, I can't tell because I'm on the phone. Greg will be able to tell.
Greg, how's the volume? Mom, talk.
If Greg has the volume,
No, she's on.
what do I have?
Talk.
Okay, I'm talking. I am all prepared and eager, and I'm going to keep on talking.
Mary Lou is on.
Oh, great.
And Eileen says, hello, Hedy. Sounds good. So your sound is good.
Good.
And it's just about time to start. Give it 1 minute.
I'm going to hang up. Sound is perfect.
Mary Lou, how are the branches?
I'm going to read who's here. Mary Lou is watching. Eileen Cutler says, hello, Hedy. Sounds good. Fran Rosenberg is watching. Mary Lou says, hola. And
Hola
Eileen
to you.
says, sending love from Cape Cod. And
The phone is ringing.
that is your son. So
Hi,
let's see
son.
what he has to say. Kenny?
Hi, John. Sorry, because I need to do something a little bit later. I'll stay on.
Oh, okay. Okay, Mom. You are on.
Can I say welcome, everybody?
You can. It's 7 o'clock.
Oh, I can start. Okay. First of all, I love you all. And I'm going to be talking about the garden cafeteria. I hate to tell you, but to me, food has always been the reason why I love painting. Because invariably, the places I picked to paint always needed a place where I could eat, because I would get tired. And so I'm going to talk about the garden cafeteria today. The garden cafeteria was a miracle. The food was wonderful, but mainly it gave me a history, because it's where people told me everything. And Joni, would you hate me if I say I forgot water?
I would be honored to bring you some water.
Thank
Do you
you.
want it with ice or plain?
No, just plain. Because when I talk a lot, I need it. Okay. I would go to the garden cafeteria area, even when I was painting in other areas. And the thing in neighborhoods is that the elderly find a place that makes them be comfortable. And they sit down and they talk. And then they allowed me to sit next to them, because I was doing a painting of their world. And if I would have painted the most wonderful work of a different area, nobody would be interested. But all of us want to be known and remembered, and to have somebody listening to their stories and then paint them. It gave me an in into everything. Today, I'm going to do a lot of speaking about not just the garden cafeteria, because you can read about that, but about a book that literally changed my life. When Julie and Mark and Charlie gave me this book, it came at the right time, because I was beginning to paint the tree. And that tree literally spoke to me. I know, Mary Lou, it spoke to you. I know, Janine, it spoke to you. I know it spoke to many of you because of the comments. But what do I mean when I say the word speak? You see, the longer I live and the longer I do what I love doing, which is learning not from books only, though I love books, but learning from people's stories. I am now able to learn from the world which is not human. In this book, I learned that there is language which some people understand and some don't. My friend Linda, who is a bird watcher, is like my daughter Joni, who feeds birds. They understand the language of movement, but they understand from watching and caring and feeding them. They understand motions and feelings in the air. I had an amazing phone call the other morning. If you remember the painting of the Brooklyn Meat Market, which I believe was my number 18, I had no information on the pair and the people who had commissioned it, except that I knew them so well. But I didn't have any written information. And so all I mentioned was what he said when he commissioned me. He said, my parents owned a little store that sold liver. Now I own all these trucks. But I got a message with a phone number from Gloria Wixman, and I remember her so well. But we began to talk about what made us become friends, which led to their commissioning a painting, which led to, even though we didn't speak to each other for so many years afterwards, led to a phone call the other morning. And we began to compare notes about language, which is not mouth to mouth or motion to motion, but comes through the air. As I know, something told me to say to Joni as we drove over the Williamsburg Bridge, when she said, where should I stop? And I said, pull over here on the corner of Muscats and Delancey and Orchard. And I never left that area for 41 paintings. Not just of Orchard Street, but wherever I could walk. Because once the car is parked on Orchard Street area, you won't get another parking spot. You can go to the Essex Street garage, but that means dragging all the stuff. And as I said to you already, something pulled me there. And I realize now, looking back, that I have become a historian of something that nobody else has done. I was there, and as I painted, I wrote about you whom I met. But now I have a lot of information on Gloria Wixman, even though I didn't have any when I did the painting, and she's going to be sending it to me, and then I'll share it with you. Okay? I would like Kenny to say something about the strings that lead us to places that we didn't know needed us. Kenny, are you there? No.
Hello?
Yes, he is. Kenny, would you speak? And could you do it in such a way that people hear it? I'll give the phone back to Joni.
No, keep it near your microphone. Just hold it like that.
Oh, keep it like this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, microphone, get to work. You see,
Okay.
let me just say
So-
one thing. Kenny and I speak every night, and we speak about the inner mentor, which means we ask each other, what did your inner mentor say to you today? The inner mentor, I found out in my case, is the voice I haven't listened to. The voice that says, like when we were hiking, and we had a mule, and I was a coward, and I had a very hard time climbing without Eric holding my hand. Joni and Kenny were ahead of us with the mule. Suddenly Kenny shouted, "Dad, come quickly! The mule fell on Joni." And he turned to me, he said, "Hedy, you gotta do it on your own. I've gotta run." And I was able to. So now whenever I'm afraid to do something, I think, Hedy, remember, when the mule fell on Joni, you were able to do what you thought you couldn't. So, okay, Kenny, you talk.
Okay, sure. So, Hedy told this incredible story about just being called to Orchard Street and saying, "Stop the car here," and then realizing that she was called there, that she was pulled there. There were like invisible strings that were pulling her there, and it was because there was a job for her to do in her life, and it was to become the historian of the Lower East Side through art. So the question that we wanted to ask all of you, and if you want to just write in any of your answers, she will read them out, or Joni will read them out. But is there a time that you felt drawn to something, or to a certain place, or a person, or a project, and you didn't know that that would end up being destiny to you, but it ended up being a really important thing in your life, and in retrospect, you feel almost like you were called to that? If you had that experience, could you just write about it, and we'll read it during this talk?
Thank you.
So I actually have one. I started doing work in prison when I was 18 as a volunteer for the Thresholds program. And I realized this is the work I'm meant to do. And I'm 67. I've been doing it ever since. So yeah, I was lucky enough to know the work I wanted to do when I was just starting out to become an adult.
Oh my goodness. I remember the moment when she knew. We were sitting at the kitchen table, and I was talking about a man named Mickey Burglass, who was going to be speaking. And that we would have to go on Friday night or Saturday night or Sunday night on a work day. And Eric said, "I can't. I would have to miss work." And Joni said, "You have to go, because if you don't go, Mom won't go, and then I can't go, and I have to be there."
And that shaped the rest of my life.
Completely.
Yeah.
She now heads the Fortune Society and has spent this period of isolation by holding meetings on the phone and writing and doing proposals. And I can't speak to her because, "Mom, not now, I'm working."
Let me read what people have said. I read a few of them already. Mary Lou Bilgray says, "The branches are beautiful." Yes, they are really beautiful. Carol Hodkin is watching. Julie Williams is watching. Julie says, "Good evening. Hedy and Joni, love you both." Hernan Poza is watching. Mary Lou says, "Yes, it did." Janine Schultz is watching and says, "Hi, Hedy. Hi, everybody." Mindy Spat says, "Hi, Hedy, it's Mindy sending greetings and love from San Francisco."
Oh, Mindy, thank you.
Kenny asks, "Does anybody else have a story?" And Eileen Cutler said, "A friend convinced me to apply for a job working with homeless teenagers. There were lots of applicants, but I got the job. I loved that unexpected work for 20 years of my life." Sandy Alsek says, "Hi, Aunt Hedy, we love you, Sandy and Ishmael." Martha Bilski's watching and says, "Happy Hedy."
Wow.
So Eileen, thank you for that story. Do other people have stories?
Yes. Oh, let me ask you, shall I continue speaking or shall I talk about the painting? Let me look at my car. I have the time.
You have the time. You have 15 minutes.
Okay. Here's what I want to talk about. This painting, can they see it, Joni?
I will have them see it. Now they see it.
Okay. It's going to be painting number 93. I had made a typing mistake and had written 193. So it's a good thing Joni is used to checking things before she types them. And she says, "Mom, not 193 painting. This is number 93. And I said, "Oops, you're right." Okay, let me tell you why this means so much to me. I have a wonderful neighbor. His name is Gary. And we had a long talk the other day because he's going to be in the painting. And I mentioned that if the UFOs have living beings and they want to know who we are, I've got to prove to them that the only reason we keep on existing is because of kindness. I have seen so much kindness during this pandemic. Maybe because I'm old and I walk with a four-wheeled walker, so people help me over curbs and things like that. Gray hair is a gift. Walking with a walker also works, even though I wish I didn't have to. But I was thinking, I'm only going to put in people who give kindness in this painting. And then I thought of the hundreds of people I have painted. And I thought, wait a minute, I have never met anyone or painted anyone who is not kind. How come? And I suddenly realized, when I paint somebody, it takes time, and they begin to talk. And invariably, they don't tell me when they hurt somebody. Invariably, they begin to tell me about the giving parts of their life. And I thought to myself, maybe that's where the gift that I am given is. That people have somebody to tell of the parts they love in themselves. Maybe that's what's missing. Now, when I was with Eric and the painting of Grant Street, people, especially Carissa, who is a wonderful writer, and I'm going to ask her if I can post one or more of her stories, because she writes about the Chinese world, the personal world. And for me, it's a very close world, because the first friends I made in Panama were a Chinese family. And my first best friend was Lois Lee. I wonder if she's alive. She's my age, but I don't know where she is. If anybody knows Lois Lee, who has a sister named Elita, who lived in Panama during 1948, 49, etc., please let me know. I need to say thank you.
I have a couple of things to read.
I'd love it.
Joanne Baker is watching. And your son, Ken Page, said, I went to the movies one night and I saw All About My Mother by Almodovar. It changed my life. When I left the theater, I knew I wanted to become a dad. The rest is history. And it made you a grandmother.
It made me a happy grandmother. Oh, I'm so glad he said this.
Do you want to show the picture of the garden cafeteria?
Yes, but it's on the board.
Good, okay.
So let them worry. Let them look. Okay. We could look at my thing, but do we need to? There isn't that much time left. Okay. I want to get back to what I'm doing. Unfortunately, I have to deal with the fact that I cannot drive, and that the heat has been so unbearable this last week. As you know, our planet is heating up. And when the skies are gray, it is the haze from the fires in California and Nevada and other places. And it's not great for a person of my age sitting near the boardwalk in the heat. But I have wonderful news. So far, there are 3 people who are willing to drive me there and sit with me when I paint and to carry all my equipment in their car. And one of them is my son, Ken, who unfortunately also works. And then there's Carol Hotkin. And then there is Fran. And it doesn't help any when the heat is so intense. But please be available on the cool days, because I can't wait. I want to speak about language today, and I'm going to take my paper, and while there's still time, because I'm getting too excited, and I do want to mention this. When we speak to, I called it how we hear language. When somebody speaks, we think we know what they're talking about, but they don't know what I'm thinking. I'm giving you an example. If you don't know the background of somebody's meaning of the words they use, the background I want to use is that of my grandchild, Jesse. When he was a little kid, and I told him that he has to brush his teeth, he looked at me with those big questioning eyes, and he said, when you was a little grandma, did you brush your teeth? And I suddenly realized he cannot see me as a child. In his eyes, I was always a grandma, only I was little. How does a little grandma look? Be aware when somebody speaks. Do you know the image they carry? When they give you a name or a thought, are they referring to the ones that you see? And I need to go back to my friend Fran, who taught me something that I'm beginning to understand. Not really, but the beginnings are there. I think when you go into a world of listening, you have to learn the language of the other person, which is why I hate texting. Even though text could be beautiful in poetry, but they don't give me a background. Okay? So, especially my wonderful, wonderful young relatives, okay, who love to text, forgive me. I'd rather speak to you on the phone, and I do. Okay? Okay, let me go back to Fran. She said she puts a problem, any problem that she can't solve, in back of her head and lets the brain give the answer. She doesn't deal with it. She lets the brain create the answer. It's always right. But you cannot add your feelings into that question. It's got to be the facts. And I tried, but I found out the feelings get in the way. If there's a politician who's saying things that I would like to hear, but the moment he or she begins to speak, my hackles rise up, because it's totally against what I believe in. And so my feelings stop hearing. My feelings color what he or she is saying. And I really tried. I tried to leave my feelings out. Day after day after day. And then I realized, but my feelings are connected to the people who issued the sentence. So that I don't hear the sentence. I don't hear what they're saying. I hear how much I like them or don't like them. For me, the problem of Israel comes up right now. My dream was to go to Israel and to live in a kibbutz during the worst time when there was war. And my parents talked me out of it. But the dreams I had of Israel were that of a land where people wouldn't hate each other. I wanted 2 states becoming one. I wanted countries, many countries, becoming one. And I believe it'll happen again. But at the moment, I'm having to admit that my feelings get in the way. I am going to train myself. I was with Greg today.
And then I need to read some stories people gave.
That I'd rather. I'll finish next time. I'll talk next time. To read the stories.
Read the stories. So Joe Tripp says, Paula Lakshan says, I love Mondays with Hedy. You're an inspiration. Joe Tripp says, good to see you all. Much love to Hedy and Joni. Mary Lou Bill Gray says, little grandma, interesting. And then 2 stories. Greg Romer, 4 years ago I got laid off after 25 years in IT. That led to me thinking about what I truly wanted to do, and it was to help people. I spent the last years studying, and I'm now fulfilling that dream, having become a financial planner. And Julie Williams says, Ken, I remember that story. Similarly, Mark and I I'm trying to open her full thing. There we go. Similarly, Mark and I were pulled toward parenthood in our mid-30s after years of being afraid to bring a child into this world. Hedy and Eric gave us the courage, and the result was Charlie, Hedy's extra honorary grandchild. We are forever grateful.
May I add something to this? Those 2 were such an inspiration to us, Julie and Mark. And Eric said, you must have a child. And they said, we're afraid. And he said, no, because the world needs the kind of child that people like you would create. And we have Charlie.
And finally, Robin.
Who's in the painting? Charlie is the one without a face in the blue t-shirt. Okay? And the people whom he's going to be photographing are Julie and Mark. And the reason you can only see them from the back, in this painting, people I have painted before cannot be full face, because I can't do that. Because there are so many people who are going to be in this, I can't have them all facing forward. I have only 1 minute left. I love all of you. Thank you for being there. Help me change the world. Really help me change it. Get to know somebody today who needs help. Give them your old socks or new socks. Don't give. Do what my other grandchildren did, which is Deidre and Tane, and give things away. Go to where you have too much of something. Take it to a shelter. Take it to a homeless place. But let's share. We have so much. I love you all. Bye-bye.